The morning of the accident, a lot of things had to take place in order for us to be there at that moment in time. There was a lot of extra errands that we ran that day that we never would have ordinarily, and went to Costco, and we got extremely in an extremely busy line, and by the time we left, we were leaving Chico, and just outside of Chico, we noticed in our rearview mirror this man was just driving haphazardly, almost sideswiping us twice, and it worried us, and he sped up a little faster, and I asked my husband to slow down, and as we were following him, we noticed he's weaving in and out of traffic, and it got to a very scary point where we called 911 and to alert them that there was possibly a drunk driver coming up from Chico, so that somebody in Paradise should probably be there. And as we were on the phone with 911, we saw him jump the median and crash into Brianna's car. My husband ordered me to stay in the truck, stay put. He ran across the street and checked on Brianna's car. He kicked in the passenger side window, checked her, but she was unresponsive. So he ran around to the truck and started to assist him. And at this time, I hopped out of the truck and ran over to see what was going on with the car that had just been struck. I noticed a very young girl. I could not see her face. I could see her hair, and I hopped in the passenger side door. And at this time, we literally were on the phone with 911 exactly when it happened. So when I was sitting with her, a couple of other cars had stopped, and people were trying to come around and check her from the driver's side, but the car and truck were wedged, and there really couldn't be much assistance from the driver's side. So I asked people to start keeping count, and I was finding her pulse. I was taking her vitals, watching the breath. The breath was slow. The pulse was very slow and inconsistent. Her color changed pretty rapidly. Just looking around the car, like I really had to reach down to try to find her other hand. Her left hand was down somewhere below on the left side of her, and I reached down to grab her right hand, and when I held her hand, it was a small child, and I just thought, Lord, I am so mad right now. I'm so stressed out. What is this? What is happening that this child? And he said, she is my child. And at that moment, I heard the Lord. He spoke to me. He said, calm down. We've got this. Take a breath. And at that moment, he wrapped this bubble. He put us in this bubble of protection. There were no sirens. There were no passerbyers. I mean, keep in mind there was all of that going on. But the bubble, the safety, the chaos that he protected her from, it was amazing. And he said, call my child by her name. And that startled me. And I kind of looked around like Brianna's father was standing there. And I reached down to pull out her wallet or anything that could tell me what her name was. And it was very overcast. Possibly, on a day like this, the sun would come out, then the clouds would come out. It had been raining for days prior to that, so there was water in the gully where the accident was. And when the Lord put that bubble around her car at that moment in time, He said, "Call my child by her name." I reached down, grabbed her license, and I said, "Brianna." And at that time, I was a mother talking to a baby, to a child. I said, I'm gonna hold your hands. And at that time, the sun came out, and I sang to her. I told her she wasn't alone, that she'd never be alone. And then I sang, Here Comes the Sun. It was special. And the way that the Lord spoke was so clear. I was startled, but everything calmed down as soon as I said, Brianna. At that time, the paramedics showed up. So I got out of the car, and they took over. After we left the crash site, that the horrific scene, Danny and I were driving in the truck coming home, and it had just, everything at that point seemed trivial compared to what we had just been involved in. The busyness of the day, everything just was wiped away, and we called our kids, every single one of them, and just to hear their voice, knowing that at any point in time, our Creator decides who falls asleep and when. And but I also felt the Holy Spirit in me so clearly filled me with answers that I didn't know that I was even searching for those questions. But I knew that I told my husband, I said, I think she's a missionary. I don't even know why I said that. And my husband, Danny, looked at me, and I said, I'm serious. She was here for just a short while. She was going someplace bigger. And we didn't really think anything more of it until we saw the news a couple of days later, letting us know her backstory. And the story was, in fact, that she was trying to become a pilot to do missionary work in the jungle, and possibly fly to Alaska, bring supplies. And my husband just looked at me like, you're a freak. And so it really is. We are just a drop in this huge bucket. And for our Creator to know us and create us individually, know every one of our hairs on our head, to name us, to who knit us together in the womb before we even know. The hope, the hope that we had, that we do have in Jesus Christ, is the hope that sustains us. It's the hope that keeps our family alive, knowing that this hurt is temporary and we'll be forever together where it really counts. So I admire Rod and Mary for having to deal with the tragedy, for trudging along and making something positive, taking this in the direction that they know Brianna would want to go. So thanks for having me.